welcome to Project Home DIY. Thanks for joining us this month. It's the highly anticipated month of the tiered tray. We've had so many of our subscribers request this, and I've worked really hard on designing you guys the perfect tiered tray where you can display all those fun seasonal or not seasonal little items that either you got in our future or past boxes and some future boxes, wink wink, that you can display on the trays. So they're pretty fun to rearrange and decorate for each season. So let's get started with your tiered tray. You will find the 3 pieces of each tier in your box, and they're awesome. Look at these. Look how nicely these are built. I'm so excited for the quality, the design. One thing I know on a lot of store-bought tiered trays, the tray part is so tall, like 2 inches tall, that some of your little ornamental stuff gets hidden. So I really worked hard to make sure that this had a nice edge, but then also wasn't so deep that you lost your little items. And definitely wanted it raised, so we had these added. Just love it. And then the galvanized posts, I'm so excited about. I love galvanized. They will be a fun addition, and it's super easy to put together. Love the design of it, so I am so happy to be able to finally get this to you. If you are just joining us for the first time this month, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You should have received a starter kit, which would have been shipped to you right around when you subscribed throughout the month. And so you should already have all the essential items you need to create this project. This month we will be using the paint, the sanding block, the paint tray, and the brush. So go ahead and get those items out, make sure you have them. But very first thing, just to get started, I'm going to take some paper because I am staining. You guys have a lot of this paper in your boxes a lot of the time, so that makes it really handy to be able to use when you're staining so you don't get your surfaces dirty. And I like to wear gloves. You can buy these super cheap places like dollar store, whatever. I know in previous boxes, our clock box, I sent you a nice pair of latex ones that, or excuse me, non-latex gloves that you can reuse. So if you still have those, make sure you get your gloves out. And let's get to staining. So you can obviously paint these. You do have your 10 paints from our kit. I chose to stain this month, so we did include stain. This stain color is just a custom one that we had kind of color matched and an exact color that I wanted to go for. So it kind of goes with the paper, but if you choose, you can choose and do any of the paints, whatever you would like, but we will be staining it. So to get started with the stain, use any sort of rag that you have, any old junk t-shirt, rag, whatever, and just start wiping. It's super easy. All right, all of our 3 pieces of the tray are stained. I did not stain the inside because I will be decoupaging it, so there's no purpose in staining right there. I did stain the underside. We will be putting a light coat of color on it to kind of antique it a little bit. So we'll be doing that later, but right now we will decoupage the paper onto the top surface of the wood. This is kind of just a fun little technique. Simple as can be. All you need is glue and paper. You can use the actual brand of decoupage, which is Mod Podge, or you can use a glue, either one. When I do the paper technique, I do like to sand the edges of the paper, so it's not just some blunt edge right here. I do like to sand it a little bit. So in order for me to do that, I just take it to the edge of whatever I'm working on and run my sanding block over it. And it just kind of gives you a rough, worn edge. So go ahead and do that if you choose. Okay, those 3 pieces are sanded off. For the paper, you can use any type of scrap paper that you want. You can actually use actual newsprint. For these, if you notice, they are our Project Home DIY blogs. I thought that would be kind of fun to include those in there, just for a little fun tribute to Project Home. But you can also use the printed side if you like that better, whichever side you like. So to do this, it's fairly simple. Just pour some glue on the paper, might be too much, and spread it out. All the way to the edge. So go off of the edge. See how I'm getting it on the table? That's what we want, because you want your edges to stick down. So make sure that you go all the way to the edge. You don't want big globs of glue. It'll make your paper bubble. It is just paper. And set it in there, kind of center it. Wipe my hands a little bit. And flatten it around all the edges. And voila, there it is. So just a little added extra touch. And I could really use a rag right now to wipe that off, but I don't have a wet one. So I'll use this and be just fine. Okay, so second paper, same thing. Use a bit of glue. Oh, good catch. All the way to the edge. You can do this with photos, you can do this with old maps, you can do this with your kids' writing or some fun leftover mementos from the kids' school. Anything special you can Mod Podge on to just about any wood surface. It's a super fun, beautiful technique. And we'll actually do this again coming up in a couple months, maybe even next month. I can't remember. I think it is. When my months are built around a box, it becomes very hard to keep track of what was what month. So I get confused. But I think next month, actually I'm working on February right now, so it's kind of hard to remember what's coming up because I did it so long ago. Okay, last page. I might be out of the screen a bit, so I'll try to move over here, but I just don't want too much in the glue that's here. Make sure all the bubbles are pressed out. You don't want bubbles in there. If you happen to tear your paper, that's okay. It just gives it a more worn look. That's okay. I don't mind it, at least. Some people are really big perfectionists, but in my world of DIY, perfectionism is not a thing. So, see, I just tore it right there when squishing it down, and I don't mind that. And guess what? This is when all you guys are going to model yours after. So you think this one's perfect, and look at all these little imperfections. And I love them. Okay, so the reason why we decoupaged first is so at the same time, the paper can dry as well as the paint. And then we do our final sanding and build it, and it's done. So I chose to decoupage first. You may not want to do it that way. You may want to paint and then decoupage, because you might not trust yourself with not getting paint on the paper. But if we very lightly cover these edges with paint, I'm not doing the underside, but I will do the edges. Make sure you rinse your paintbrush. And I'm going to be using smoke. I will be using smoke paint. And I will be just painting, dry brushing a little bit of paint on the outside. And then once it's dry brushed, I'm going to let it dry and then sand a bit off. So see how I dabbed a lot, and then I'm dabbing to dry off the brush a bit. And I'm only painting the sides and the top. And I'm not painting a full covered coat, by no means. I don't want that look because I'm sanding it off anyways. You may get paint a little bit in the corners, but just brush those out. If you want a darker color, you can do Raven. Raven is very pigmented. That's our black. It's very pigmented, so you're going to get lots of color. So be careful when doing that. You may want to do it real lightly. Okay, so that's the finished painted. And this is why I did both the decoupage and the paint at the same time, because now I'm going to set this in my dryer down here, which is just a little small space heater. Be careful when using space heaters. I always have to put those PSAs in there. Just be really safe when you're using that. Set it up so it's safe. Okay, so I put that in there, and then I'm going to paint the rest of all the edges. All right, we're back with the 3 pieces, and they are dry with the paint and the stain. And so the last step, 2 steps actually, would be to sand this painted edge if you like that look. It just creates a little bit more of an antique worn look. You do not have to sand if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. But I'm going to sand these edges, mainly focusing on this outside edge, inside edge, and the sides and the top. That's it. I will sand a little bit on the bottom if I did get any paint. I'll just sand it off just like that. Super simple, quick, light sand. And then we will assemble and decorate. So let's sand. All right, pieces are sanded, and I love bringing that natural edge back through when you sand and get back down to the natural wood color. I feel like it just provides a dimension, adds a dimension to the wood, and I love that. So if I can remember how to assemble this thing, it's been a while, but this piece with these are male ends. This is a female end. This is a female end. If you need me to explain more, that'll be in a different session for obvious reasons. So this male end of this long double-tipped one, this goes on the bottom, and this is your center, and this is the top, okay? So with these galvanized things, little tidbit, mine come apart. Yours do not, but you can probably make them come apart if you choose to have a wood color. There is glue in there. You just have to peel that glue off. So that is an option, but you find where we covered this hole with the paper. Right there it is. And we'll stick that sucker in there, twist it in nice and hard, and then you should have a washer and a nut, and screw that in place and hold your wood at the same time. Should be able to just hand tighten. That should be enough. So there's that. And then we'll put on our middle tray. Just poke right through. Won't matter if the paper tears a tiny bit right there, because you'll cover it up with this guy. Okay, so just tighten that as you see fit. And then the top, just swirl it right on. And voila, your tray is built. I'm going to align these metal pieces, maybe in the back a little bit. Keep them tight. So I'm going to go one more round around. Keep it tight, but rotate that metal around to the front, back, whatever side. You can also offset these little trays, so then when you go to decorate, you can add taller things like along the sides that go above. So this is fun. So see, because then you can add something that is a little bit taller and goes above. The lips on these, I'm so excited. As I told you in the beginning, they're not tall, so stuff won't get hidden or lost back there. I love that you can just turn it however which way fits your decor. So this looks perfect on here. I just grabbed some stuff I had from other projects laying around the shop, and you can just kind of throw stuff in here to go around. Beads are a big thing on the trays. Some people aren't as familiar with how to decorate trays. Some like a cleaner look, so not so much stuff on them. It is totally up to you and how you want to decorate these. But look how much fun. I love them. Oops, I lost my little piece of eucalyptus. Stick that on there. I don't even know what this looks like from the front, so hopefully it looks okay. Stick that. So the possibilities are literally endless with tiered trays. Here's a little Lamy. I like little Lamies. Maybe we don't want that heart in his face. There's that. And they're usually all the way around decorated. So when you go to decorate yours, just kind of add stuff everywhere you see. But that is our final for September. And the tiered tray that everybody's been wanting. I hope you guys enjoy it. Cannot wait to see your variations. One of the best perks, hidden perks of Project Home DIY is our VIP group. And it's the best group to be able to join and share your finished projects. And there's so many fun ideas that everybody, I mean, it blows my stuff out of the water and it makes me go, ugh, I wish I could hire you guys to do this. So you guys are amazing. Keep sharing your fantastic ideas in our group. We love to see them. Make sure you join the VIP group. In your starter kit, you got a little pamphlet. It will say have the VIP group on that, as well as on these instructions for this month's project. Join us next month where we can add to our tiered tray. See you then. Bye.